Daf Lamed Dalid Amud Aleph, 32 lines down. The last thing I mentioned was Rapapa, that if a shomer, one of the watchmen, say that they're going to will, if they're willing to pay, then it's considered like they already paid, and therefore, if a thief is caught afterward with the item, then the shomer is the one who gets the fees associated with the stolen item. A kefel, 4 or 5 times amount, goes to the shomer. Okay. Ikudamri, there are those that say Amar Papa says Shoel Nami Kevan Shamar Harin Shalem. Once a borrower says, so a borrower we said is Hayav to reimburse the guy regardless of almost any circumstance. So the Hidush is, according to this version, is Miknele Kfela, he still acquires the kafel, even though we said that kafel, even though we said that before that he won't be in the first version. Because why? Because if he wanted, he could have freed himself by saying and making himself patur by saying that the animal died while it was working, and therefore, if he claims he's going to pay it, then he receives the fees associated with the found if the item is found. Razid says to Rabbi Rabbi holds a borrower does not acquire the rights to the fees, to the extra penalties, until he actually pays for it. Why? Since the borrower already has rights to the item, unlike a watchman, therefore the transfer of the fees don't go to him unless he actually pays the nadi. A proof according to Razvid. If someone borrows a cow from his friend, and then it's stolen, and the borrower went ahead and paid it anyhow. All right, so let's say it was stolen from the borrower then paid it off, and then the thief is found, and then there's obviously fees associated with the thief. The borrower receives the payments. So according to the first version, which is the borrower does not get those penalties. Right, he doesn't acquire the item per se to receive the penalties associated with the theft. That's not a question because over here he'll agree that if the guy already paid it, it's fine. He only holds that you don't receive it if you say you're going to pay it. The Lishna Batrav, according to the second version, with just saying that you're going to pay, even if he doesn't have to pay it, Lema to have maybe it's a question of Rabba. Answers Mia Lima Matin. Our Braita is not stronger than a Mishnah. Diktani Shilem, our Mishnah, we said over there, is referring to a case where he already paid it, and that's why he acquires it. Okim Neba Amar, and we established that case to say that no, he didn't actually pay it, he promised him to pay it. Hachanamik Ba'amar, also in this case of the Braita, he says he's going to pay it, but he didn't actually pay it yet. Whereas Midami, you can't compare those cases. Hatam Laktani Kidem. In the Mishnah, it doesn't say that he actually paid it, it just said he's going to pay. But over here, he said he went ahead, which sounds like he went ahead and actually paid money out. That's different. So the Rav says, no, my kidem, what does it mean he went ahead? Doesn't mean he actually paid it out. Kidem v'amar, he jumped ahead and said, I'm going to pay. And then the thief was caught. But the Braita then says also regarding the renter, he says that the guy says he says he'll pay. But by the borrower, it actually says he went ahead. So it sounds like Shmamina Daf Katani, by the borrower, it sounds like he's actually paying it off. And therefore, the borrower acquires the fees associated with the item only if he actually paid off the lender. Where it says were those braitot taught together, meaning maybe it's two separate cases completely, and therefore the wording doesn't make a difference. Meaning, since it's two separate braitot according to this concept, then the wording is not a stira on each other, and therefore they can mean totally two separate. They could both mean technically the same thing of actually promising and not paying. Gemara says, they say, no, actually the braitot were taught together, and therefore they are part of the same braita, and therefore by the first part where it says that where the borrower says he paid, therefore he actually paid and not promised. So the last version of Papa, that saying that you're going to pay is not good enough until you actually physically pay. Okay, a few questions that we're going to answer with the table. Pshita. Obviously, Amar Inu Mishlam, the guy originally says, I won't pay. V'hazar Amar Harim Mishlam, then he says, I'm going to pay. Hak Amar Harim Mishlam, that he obviously is saying, I'm going to pay, and therefore he acquires it. However, Ella, Amar Harim Mishlam, see the guy said, I'm going to pay, thereby acquiring the item and the fees. But then, the Hazar Amar Inu Mishlam, then he says, I'm not going to pay. Mai, what's halacha? They find the thief, does he acquire those fees? It sounds like he's retracting his offer and therefore he doesn't get the penalties. Maybe he's gonna do it. He's just stalling for time, but he intends on paying, and therefore he'll acquire the fees. Which one? Amar, next case. Amar Hanim Shlam, the guy says, I'm going to pay. Umet, then he died. But Amru Banav, then the son say, we're not going to pay it. My what's halakha? Do they acquire the fees? Do that considered a retraction, therefore they don't get it? Maybe they're going to do it, but they're just stalling for time. Next question. Let's say the sons of the Shomer paid for the item, even though the guy, the Shomer himself, didn't do it, didn't commit before dying. What's the halakha? Can the owner tell the sons, when I was willing to transfer the fees to you? It's like a risk. You're willing, whether or not this in this scenario where you're transferring it. I only did it for your dad. Because he did a favor for me, therefore I was willing to do it in this scenario. It is who, but for you guys, no, I couldn't care less about you guys. Odim alosh, no, maybe there's no difference, and therefore they should acquire it. Next question. Let's say the owner died, it got stolen. The Shemer said, I'm going to pay it, and he tells it to his sons who acquired this loan. What's the halakha? Well, it's not a loan, it's an item, the pikadon. What's the halakha? Matzi amrule, can they tell the Shemer, ki aknu lach when our father was willing to give it to you? He did it because he liked you. But we don't like you, and therefore we're not doing you favors, and therefore we didn't want to transfer the payments to you. No, maybe there's no difference. It's basically the reverse of the previous case. Now we're going to take this one step further. Let's say they both died, the shomer and the owner both died, and now that everything gets transferred to the kids, and they paid it off to the owner. What's the halakha? Do they get the payments or not? The fees. Next case. Let's say the shomer paid half of it. What's the halakha? So let's say let's say he borrowed 2 cows and they were both stolen. And he only paid off one of them. What's halakha? Did he acquire the penalty for that single cow? Or maybe he doesn't because he didn't pay for both cows. Let's say he borrowed from 2 partners and one of them was stolen. He only paid off half the share to one of the partners. What's halakha? Does that acquire him the fees? They have 2 partners that borrowed a cow and it was stolen. And only one of them paid 50% of the loss. Does he acquire the penalty fees because he paid half of his share or not? Last couple of questions. Someone borrowed an item from a woman. A woman has nichsem milog, which are properties that she brings into the marriage that stay with her in the event of divorce and death of the husband. So nichsem milog stay with the woman, otherwise everything belongs to the husband. So the husband was paid by the borrower for the loss. So what's halakha? Does that count as paying for it or not? Maybe the payment should have gone to her. Therefore, does he get the penalties or not? Isha sha'ala, if the woman borrowed it, then the husband paid for it. What's halakha? Maybe since she didn't pay for it, it doesn't count. Teku. All these questions are teku. Okay, Ravuna says, the shomer who's swearing that he wants to, that he's agreeing to pay, right? He borrowed the Rolex, lost the Rolex, now he's going to swear. Now he's going to pay. We still make him swear to pay. Why? We're making him swear that it's not in his possession. Why? Maybe he is being rationalizing with himself. Right? I have the Rolex in my safe, but you know what? I want to keep it. I'll pay him off. What's the difference to him? Therefore, we make him swear so that he really doesn't have it. So he doesn't just keep it and rationalize. Maybe you have a question according to that. Hamal there, et haviro ala mashkon. Very detailed few scenarios in the Mishnah. We're bringing 4 cases of the Mishnah, and based off the answers of the Mishnah, we're going to be asking a question on that concept. So there is a concept called modib miksat. We had it a few times already. If someone owes somebody money, and the guy comes over to him and says, hey, you owe me $100, and he agrees to partial, we'll say $50. He has to swear that he does not own the second $50 because maybe modib miksat, the fear of modib miksat is that when a guy agrees that he owes half a loan, then maybe he's just stalling for time. Therefore, we make him swear in the second half. So, if someone lent his friend money with collateral, he borrowed a $10 item, gave him a $10 worth. We gave him a collateral. We'll see what that is. And the collateral was lost. Then the lender comes over to me and says, "Okay, I lent you a $10 for the collateral, on collateral, and shekel hayava, and the collateral is only worth $5, half a selah. And therefore you owe me $5. All right, we'll cancel out. I lost the collateral, so just flus me the rest. The borrower says, look, I actually gave you a selah, $10. And therefore it cancels out, and therefore I don't owe you anything. Patur, he's patur from swearing because he did not admit to owing anything. Modeh ben miksat, when you're admitting to partial owing, you have to swear. But over here, he says, no, I don't owe you anything. What I owed you is what you lost as collateral, and therefore we are even Steven. Next case. I said, I lent you a sela. We'll call it $10. Shekel hayashave, but it was the collateral was worth $5, and therefore you owe me $5. And the guy says, Lo, you lent me $10. And it was worth $7.50. And therefore I only owe you 1 dinar, which is we'll call it a quarter. Hayav, he's chayav to swear. We'll talk about who's swearing. Next case, if the guy says you lent me a selah on collateral, but the collateral was worth 2 selahs, worth $20. And he says, no, look, I lent you a selah, and selah hayashaveh only worth a selah, and therefore I owe nothing. He's patur because there's no admission. Next case, selah hilvatani alav, you lent me a selah on collateral, shnayim hayashaveh, it was worth, and the collateral was worth 2 selahs, and therefore you owe me 1 selah. And he says to him, lo, I lent you $10, and it was worth 5 dinarim, which is, let's say, 12.50, we'll call it, and therefore hayav, the lender has to pay the extra $2.50, and since he's admitting to partial owing, the lender has to swear. So now we're going to talk about actually minishba, who's actually swearing. Misha pikadon etzlo, the one who had the deposit, which is the lender, right? Because he had the collateral. The problem is starting with him. Shema yishavalo, because reason why is because maybe the guy will swear that he owed X amount of money, and then this guy will produce the deposit. He's like, oh, I found the item, the collateral, and therefore he'll say that you swore falsely about the loan, and therefore you are now disqualified in court. We don't want any problems after the fact, so we say, you know what? We let this guy take care of it. Now the Gemara says, "Hey, which case or who's swearing?" Even I say if I was referring to the last case of the Mishnah, where the guy admitted that the collateral was worth more than the loan, but not the exact amount. Like not he said it was worth $13, and the loan was, and the guy said no, the collateral was $20 I gave you. So, but typically the Mishubo Gav Malvei, maybe that's cases you're swearing because that's like a loan, and therefore the Hakamad Misatana, that's Moded Misat. Literally, I borrowed $10, I gave you a $20 item, you're saying it was worth $13, you're partial admitting, and therefore the lender should swear. Elamar Shmuel says no, Aresh is referring to the first case, where the borrower is the one who shorted him, because he's saying that the collateral was worth less than the loan. So the says, what's it? Which first case? We had two first cases. Because if it's the first one, it was even Steven, it was $10, and never canceled out. So the Gemara says, Asefa Deresha, the second case. Selah Havita Alav, which was I lent you a Selah, Shekel Hayashaveh was worth shekel, and therefore you owe me half. And he says, no, look, it was worth $7.50, and therefore he has to swear regarding that it was worth $7.50, that he doesn't own the last $2.50 because Moded Musat. Hayav, in that case, the borrower should swear. The Shavua Gabe Lovehu, and it's a Shavua regarding the loan because he did partial admission to the loan itself. Then what Rabbanan said over there? Lishta Blat Malveh, let the lender swear. Shema Yisheva Zev Yotzi Halad Pikadon, because the reason why that the lender swears is because maybe the borrower will swear that he borrowed, it was $7.50 out of $10, and then he'll end up showing the collateral, and the lender will then show up with the collateral and say, hey, you lied, you said it was $7.50, you said it was you misvaluated it, and the borrower will be disqualified from swearing. So the Gemara says, Ve'im. All that was to prove this point. Ve'im. Etid Rav Huna. Rav Huna's halacha is true that we said earlier that we're worried. Hamim are worried that the guy who's lending the money might bring the collateral afterward, and therefore he has to swear on the collateral on the deposit, which is practically what we have. The shomer is a case of an item. So shomer is watching a deposit, and the collateral is a deposit. So So you just said that the shomer has to swear that it's no longer in your possession. So if he's swearing, we know that if you're swearing on an item that's no longer in possession, then he's going to swear again regarding the loan. What are you worried about? How can he later take it out if he already swore he doesn't have it? Right? We said regarding a shomer, he's swearing he doesn't have it anymore because we're afraid that he might be stealing it. But over here, if you're making him swear he doesn't have it, like Rav Huna said, and then you have this secondary shivua on the modeh b'miksat, why are we making him swear? Why are we worried about him producing it afterward? Right? Maybe he'll pull it out after and disqualify the borrower. Why are you worried? He just swore he doesn't have it according to Rav Huna. Rav Huna says you have to swear that you don't have it. So Amar Rav says no. Sheyesh edim shenisrafa. It's for in the case where the collateral is fully burnt up in fire, and therefore we are not worried about bringing it out afterward because we know for sure it's gone. So if that's the case, uh, sorry, and therefore it got burnt, and therefore there's no need to testify that it's not your possession, and that we're not worried about getting disqualified. The Gemara says, if that's the case, that it's burnt, why are you worried about the guy bringing it out afterward if it's gone? Right? You can't have it both ways. A different answer. It was stolen, and therefore you're swearing that the value of the collateral was what it was, and we're still worried that you could find it and disqualify the future edim, right? Because maybe the guy will find it afterward. But okay, that's true. How can he bring it? Maybe the guy will go hunt down the robbers and end up getting it back. And then if he brings it back and starts disqualifying the borrower based on the swearing, we have problems. That's the case. Even if the lender swears, maybe the borrower will go and do the same thing to him. Right? What's stopping? Okay, the lender will swear so that we don't have problems with the borrower afterward. Okay, but if the lender swears, the borrower will hunt down the robbers, get the collateral, and prove the lender wrong, and then disqualify him. Gemara says, no, we're not worried about that. Because why? The lender might find him because it got stolen from his house, therefore he might be familiar with who stole it and what it was. But as of a might that he'll play detective and get it back. He'll have cameras, etc. But the borrower, how will he know who went to the lender's house to steal his item? And therefore, we're not worried about him finding it afterward. And by a different answer, Gizra, the reason why the lender is swearing is a decree. Because maybe the lender will claim afterward to the borrower, I found the collateral after I swore. Right? So yeah, I swear I don't have it in my possession, the guy's gonna say. Like Rav Huna, not a problem. And why are we not worried about it? Because maybe he'll say, I didn't have it in my possession. I found it afterward. All right, so basically a similar answer to Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef had the similar answer with the fact that it was stolen, but a different answer that the guy will swear he doesn't have it, and legitimately so, but then he'll find it outside his kid, throw it out the window, and therefore he'll be able to come back to the borrower, and that's why it all fits well with Rav Huna regarding the concept of swearing in a b'shvito. It still makes sense.